it's me, it's Wolfren, and today I will bring to you what I think it's my preferred combination for Zorga in Dvbt02. Okay, so first of all, I know that some people would like me to fully dive into the Nadir already, but Dvbt1 it's not here yet, so I kinda want to wait a bit because I want like not to be everything proxies. Like I think like the people around me needs that time to keep up. Like they will have their decks, they will practice a bit, and then we will have like good games to record with our cards ready. So yeah, those 2 weeks before Dvbt1 comes, we will be like featuring the last decks for this season, which are Jet. I have this video already recorded, and Shiranui, and I also do have Snow ready. Okay, so those weeks I will be covering that a bit more, and once the Divine era starts for us, I will fully dive, okay, into the Fated Clash stuff, okay? And also, this is my preferred version, but I haven't started testing yet the cards from the first call. I know there is like some kind of orders there that will definitely change the meta completely. I'm talking about the one that lets you intercept with the PGs with every deck in Keter, Stoikeia, or Brandgate. But there is a lot of time until that happens, so I will like just enjoy the deck as it is now until we are approaching that moment more, probably around July, okay? So yeah, let's talk about Nadir in Dvbt2 meta, ignoring more future cards, okay? Because here in English, we are kind of behind in comparison with GP, so yeah, let's give it a time to rest. And okay, this list, it's not, I don't want to say this is the best list because we haven't like been able to test deeply into everything in the meta, but after trying a lot of configurations, this is definitely what suits my style more. I feel really comfortable with this, and I feel now more ready to talk about the theory behind the cards, to explain how the ratios work, the ratios of the cards, and I can give you a comprehensive guide now on what are good ratios for different styles or builds to work, etc, etc, etc. Okay, so yeah, so now I can like be more precise and more accurate. Okay, there is like 2 ways of playing Nadir. I think there is the GP style because they like that style a lot there, which is the Headhunter list with black magics, with miasma, less orders. And they focus more on spamming the CVs for free with the CC that Headhunter gives you. And there is like the English side, we are like playing it a little more Highlander, we are trying to exploit more the Blitz order and the Abolishment for Sins order. And so yeah, so I think those styles, they are both fine. I think the Headhunter style, it's a bit more beatdown. It is a bit more linear and it can do well. You just focus on gaining a lot of power, using karma, and you kill fast, okay? I think on exchange for that overwhelming powers, you are also struggling a little bit more on defense. I know people playing this deck enjoys how defensive the deck can already be because you draw a lot of cards and you feel that you definitely can keep up with the game, and that's fine. But I want to show you what I have been liking more, which is using coutir for a more Highlander style. You play one of orders, then Nadir scales the most and fastest as possible without using karma. Instead of using karma for power, you focus on using overcoming to accelerate bind zone, and then you get the benefits of the Blitz order that gives you 5k power and draws a card, and 5k power for every different named order. Okay, so yeah, I will show you that part. I'm not playing the other side of the thing that much, but all I can say is that this style has worked for me a lot and it's similar to what I think I want to be playing. So yeah, basically, I want you to know that I don't want to say that this is the best, you should do that. No, there is a lot of things, there is different ways. The build, it's like really open now because there is a lot of synergies to exploit. So yeah, feel free to explore and enjoy your own way of doing things. So just as Zorga would love you to do. Okay, so I won't start by the right line. I have structured the deck in a way I can explain it the best, not just showing the cards, okay? So, first of all, obviously you want the 3 Zorgas, and here is where I add a bit of my own sauce. I'm not ready to give up on Zorga Masques yet, okay? Just saying that I will cover this card later a bit more after showing you all the ratios, and I will explain why there is place for this card in the deck. If you don't want to run it, because it can really make the deck a bit more messy and more complicated, it's fine. You can just remove this, and I will explain later that you just have to add the 9th order, okay? Basically, and to be a bit of ahead of myself, you want to play 8 orders or 9 orders, okay? If you go for pure Nadir, you can add a 9th order or an extra unit. I will tell you after which one I think you should be running instead of this one. But basically, given how the deck works, there is a space for that single copy of Zorga, and you can use one of the orders to be the mask. You just play 1 and 1. And given how the deck works, there is a space for it. You will always be able to play without it if you want, but I like having the option because I think there is some situations I will talk about later where this card really can shine, and I really like liking it, running it. I'm not ready to put you. I'm sorry, world. Okay, let's move on. Then we have 4 RPDs. In this list, we want to play fast. We will play a fast style. We want to keep that part of Zorga Mask where we could play fast games. And RPD, it's a really fast card that works at every point of the game. It doesn't rely on you going first or second. Sorry, YouTuber trauma. Am I recording? Yes, I'm recording. Okay. So yeah, also yes, I am wearing a pajama. I'm free. Zorga wants me to be free. Okay. Yeah. So you want to play fast, and this card is not restricted to opponents being on grade 3 or nothing. This just works. Okay. Also, because you want to focus on overcoming a bit more, you want to have the orders on the drop zone to bind, and then you can grab them back. Basically, I will explain it later, but you will use coutir Fairy as a tutor to set up future turns, not just using it to fetch that turn and use that order just for that. And you don't want to drain yourself too much on your own drop zone. You want to have cards to keep on playing and control the game a bit better. Okay, so yeah, basically we run 4 RPDs, which is the fast version of the same card. And just by running 4 with this particular configuration, I have been okay. I don't think you need to see 2 of them anymore for multiple reasons. Now you can just overcommit cards to the front row, turn 2, basically Shadow Cloak. And since Nadir will revive them, and you can also combine it with that, that's a very good combination, turn 3, you can call the card, intercept for free, and then get the card back. And you can do like call Shadow, call a booster, put RPD here for both columns being empowered, and then you get a free bounce out of this as well. So yeah, there is a lot of situations or where, for example, mid-game, mid to late, if the situation is already a crit to win, sometimes you have both RPDs and you still just call one because you can do the bounce to be stronger and do that, and they have to take Nadir anyway. If you're in a situation where they have to take Nadir anyway, you don't mind having one of these here or another RPD, okay? So I think there is less need for a double RPD, and I think we should, like, we don't need to float on the beaters because we need less of that, okay? So yeah, it's basically that. I don't think more copies are needed. However, for example, you can turn this into a Karma, and then you run 5, or you can turn this into Brave Shooters, which is the Energy Plus 3 cycler from Dvbt01. And yeah, you have space for another copy. If you find it like you need the 5th RPD, you can definitely do that, okay? So then we run 4 Shadow Cloaks, the best doggo. I don't know, this card has been in the deck since BT3, and it's like we have the chance of running 8 tutors, and we think we definitely need to abuse that. I think the card it's not like as core to our strategy as much anymore, basically because we don't need to double bounce. Like, the card is core for us to play, of course, but we don't need to bounce as much and we can still be fine. Now we can afford bouncing less because we have Overcoming with the Blitz Order. If you don't run that, then you need to focus on Shadow Cloak a bit more, but definitely the card is really good. We will keep you here to talk about you a bit more, but then let's first look at that, okay, which is our 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th tutor. With this, we can prepare any turn in the game we want because we will have more orders available to us, so we can stick to play more. This card has many uses. It will be more likely to just be called to mill something to activate Nadir. It's more of an enabler for this at this moment, and also to turbo the orders there, so Overcoming works better. You will be using this a lot to get the Blitz prepared or to set up an order to bind, okay? You will definitely bounce, but you will see like there isn't that need for pushing a Persona right into your hand anymore as much. You will use this a lot to farm an extra PG, or sometimes you will just bounce that to have another order, okay? So you don't rely on the PGs or the bounces as much. You don't rely as much. As much is the word, okay? You still rely on them, but it's not like as before where you had to prepare maybe double bounces, etc. Okay, we will skip a bit on the PGs. Obviously, you run 4 PGs. But what it's more interesting, yeah, okay, so let's keep this here. Let's show you the rest of the deck, and then we will come back to this, okay? In the videos, previously you saw me running like combinations of Philander and Brave Shooter. In some decks I would try 4, in others 0, 4, 2, 3, or 4 or 4. What I have found out is that the Blitz Order here, it's really good, so you really want to run 8 of these to abuse that as much as possible. And then there is like some slots for more units. Maybe given how I like to play the deck, I feel like this card is useful because like it gives you a bit more of consistency, like it lets you see this more or see this more. Sometimes you can mill that. Okay, so it's like having access to more copies, like it's like having more copies in your deck of something because you can find them easier, or just having another shuffle attempt to find it if you didn't. So I feel like this card acts like a 6th booster alongside with that, without letting me float on anything else. One thing with this card in the Masques is like you are running 4 of that and you cannot really afford to call them that much because you are minusing. Usually you would only call 1 and the others are just like coming back after reviving, or maybe later when you have set up your card advantage. So by running 2, you complement the ratios because you have 6 boosters. It's actually 10 because Alana is also a valid booster now with Nadir. But yeah, it's like having just the right amount of great ones to have access to them when you don't need Alana's Soul Charge. But you don't float on them, and you don't have those dead copies you would have with Masks. Instead, you run 2 of these. So you have an extra defense. Like, you don't need to see this early. If you do, that's fine. Especially if you run Masks, because you can call the early boosters, then you just Persona right, and you don't care about Nadir not giving you the power that turn. You can use Nadir to like prepare Shadow and PG, and then you call another PG, another Shadow Cloak, you do Forbiddle, bounce the PG back, then you lose the power, but you don't care because this unit is giving you 20k. So yeah, you are able to call the boosters early, do your rush plays, and you can still overwhelm them with that. But at the same time, you won't float. In Masks, sometimes I would feel like I had too much and I had to discard them. But here, instead I run 2 copies of this, which is more defense, and I can like have a rounded up ratio where I have the right amount of power, right amount of rush, right amount of consistency, and I can still defend myself, okay? I think this card is really game-changing in the sense that the decks will likely to be running 3 or 4. And I think we need to use the fact that we have access to this, like we have 2 and 2. This is basically this an incremented or augmented version of that. So we can split the 2 and 2. We don't need to really run more of these. We can invest those slots into utility or into having options. And with this, we're still like running 4 of that defensive skill. So we don't stay behind on defense compared to other decks. Also, this card, it's literally broken, okay? So I think we need to use this as much as we can. This can literally guard for no pass early game for free a Vanguard. We will no longer lose to that kind of RNG anymore because we have the chance of controlling what damage exactly we're taking, okay? So I think, and I'm playing the deck to abuse that as much as I can, especially since it's synergic with what Nadir is doing, okay? So yeah, let's move into the orders. Let's first talk about what I think is defining on how this deck functions and how this deck can be like outstanding compared to others. Basically, with this card, you are accelerating your power, Nadir power, a lot. This also makes that your turn 4 is not bad, even if you don't persona right. And if at some point of the game you don't have persona right, but you have grinded this, you can like grind Malice or grind Alana to keep up with the soul or the resources. And you won't have or be forced to bounce a persona right. You can bounce a PG because the persona right is less important because of how this card works, okay? The problem with this card is that it it's disrupted by the use of karma. I think if you use karma more, this card becomes worse, so you cannot really make a good list that packs everything together. I think running one karma, it's fine, because there should be a point where you just pay this for CV, not for energy, and you can like afford one usage of karma, and the CV, the energy, sorry, should come together, but still I don't think that it's needed. This like kind of makes my deck be packed, okay? And I feel it works, it's solid, and it can usually make the player wanna be doing, okay? And then you have that, okay? This is the broken card, this is what you have to abuse, in my opinion. If you want to play a broken, let's say broken, because I don't think it's broken, literally, but yeah, this is the card that makes you win the games. With this card, there is some decks that cannot kill you. They cannot deal 6 damage to you because this exists, okay? In GP, they are playing this, but just as an extender of plays. They focus more on black magics, on miasma, but black magics has two kind of problems to me. I do still run the card. I run it because it's good on some situational pairings, but the problem with this is that like some games I like literally drive check OT and I lost because I used that and I was one card short in my deck. The thing is that Blitz Order alongside with Overcoming, it's already drawing you one of those two cards because this says you draw. And then because of how much this card scales, this is still saving you more cards from your hand than this card can ever do, and you don't lose on your deck. So basically you tank for free and you make your opponents be 1 attack less deck. If they are 4 attacks, they are 3 attacks, okay? So this is very strong. And while this card is good and I think it should be run, there is like some downsides to it. I think it should be used, but it needs to be used within context. Against the right matchups, for example, it is very good versus Eva. And you have to know there is some situations where this card can potentially make you lose, so you don't want to use it as much. Like if they have healed twice, or if you have, like if they heal, you have OT in deck, maybe you draw with the OT and you draw 2 and then this draws 2 and you might deck out, okay? So you need to read the situation and know when not to use this card. One thing with Nadir is that out of the 8 orders you run, you will be looping the same ones or the same kind of orders against particular matchups. So you are allowed to run more circumstantial cards and still be able to play the game you want to play in every situation, okay? This is why I think the mask has a space, this is why I think this has a space, because the 8 orders are the bare minimum for you to play a complete deck, a complete game, if you run Malice, because Malice with this won't get bound if you do it on the right order. Like Malice into Overcoming won't get bound, so you will be able to use Overcoming to green this and still keep the order on drop zone, and by doing that you will be able to play the whole game. Like if you do that once, usually will have enough, okay? So yeah, you don't need more orders, and I prefer to run like the right amount of the needed ones to play the average game, and then have combinations to outpace or outgreen the particular matchups, okay? Let me now show you the one-offs, okay? And I think like this is core for the most powerful list, and you want 2 of those, okay? But the one-offs would be one malice, not just because of police. This makes your snow matchup free, I think, but also because sometimes you want to rush, but then you don't have the boosters on drop zone, so you want to have this bound. Turn 2, then you rush with everything, use this goes to soul, it doesn't matter, and you can revive the same great ones you already used. So that's very good, and they will still have the extra 10k, you don't need the 15k, okay? So this is good against snow, and it's like good to have one more order that won't get bound, and it's good to farm the soul in case Alana is not there. Alana is very important now, you need 4, and having access to mask with these 2 soul charge or these 2 soul charge when Alana is missing, it's really important, okay? Then you have to run, in my opinion, you want 2 cards that can recurse units from drop. If you want to run freeze instead of restrain, that's also fine. But I think the soul can come up now a bit more. It would depend on how many Alanas you have, but maybe you have 0, so you don't really want to take too much risks. And I think milling 1, it's like a completely neglectable cost here, because you don't really care about your triggers, like literally anymore, okay? So you want 2 cards, this has to be one of them, and then you want another order that gets a card from drop zone. It can be freeze and it will be fine, okay? Just use your preferred one. Then you want Habitat, really useful turn 2 to get Shadow Cloak if it's missing, and really useful turn 3 to get PGs or Nadir from deck and find cards that are still in your deck. If you're missing War Grade 1 or if you're missing Philander, you can also try to grab them with that, okay? Then 1 Black Magics, very good in the green matchups. And then I have those 2, okay? Those 2 are more circumstantial. If you don't run the masks, you don't have to run that. You can place any other order here. I think like the 3rd that gets a card from drop or far away. Philip is playing far away. If you have seen the latest of the hero video, he does like sight and Vanguard and 33 crit RPD, yay! So you can definitely do that as well. Then we have this. I still prefer this over Chalice, so maybe if I could mask and mask, I would still play that. Arguably, Chalice should be better on some situations, but I prefer this more. I think if you are proactive with this card, it can lead to better outcomes. I think this is like good turn 3 because it thins, it gives you extra copies, like versus Blackmire can give you more RPDs or something like that. And I feel like Chalice is always like losing 1 action turn 4, and I don't like that, okay? So I just prefer that one. I think if you are proactive with it, it's better than Chalice. Okay, so this is basically for the orders. If we talk about the ratios, I think that having the 6 boosters, it's really nice. Those 2 combine very well with those 2 because they pack your early game, but you don't float on neither of both. I'm usually mulling this back to the deck because I think that those generics are stronger when used on defense, not to ride fodder, unless you need to unbreak yourself, of course. So I don't want to see too many of those early game because I want to have them later to defend, and sometimes because I have these and I have overcoming, I have to discard more orders, so I cannot really use that so early on the game. So I don't know, like overall I feel like those 2 with those 2 are very well combined, and 2 with 2 of these make your defensive game plan solid, okay? And then if you break early, you can still discard these 2, right, okay? So this is very fine and very good. Okay, then we have obviously 8 crits. But we have to play for Alana now. You need to this card is very important. I'm usually getting it out of Habitat, turn 2 even. It can boost twice because it can boost one side, then make your 8Ks 10Ks or make your 18Ks 20Ks, so they still hit over 10Ks and defensive 20Ks. And then they let you play. You want 4, you want to use this every turn. I know that the Headhunter version it's a bit easier because you don't have to farm the soul mid-game all the time, but I think this really will make your ceiling higher, okay? Then we run 3 fronts, okay? And over trigger. I think this is still better than blue one. We don't want to play the red one, I really think so, because like playing the RPDs and the crits smart really gives you an edge, and I don't want to struggle with an OT that cares about me having an on-tap RPD. I really want to choose when I attack with my RPDs, so I don't like the red one. But having the blue can be nice because you can grab things from your drop zone, even an order, so you can play and you don't deck out as much because you draw one less card, okay? But yeah, the heal, it's nice, so I'm still playing this one. Checking. Okay. Trauma from the past. And then the fact that we are running front, the fact that we are running this card, and this card makes this 4 playset of full anti-heal crits the meta call, in my opinion, because this beats Eva, this beats Blackmire, this beats Mirror Match. You really want to be running 4. This is, in my opinion, maybe the only deck that can really afford them. Maybe also Eva, maybe also Red Isle can afford to do this because of how defensive it's the whole list as a one thing. Like the combination is very defensive, so you can cheese the extra 5Ks from other cards. Like if you have this and you have to call another trigger, you can just call the 10k and you will be like, instead of wasting a 15k, you will waste a 10k, okay? And if you are versus Eva or a crit deck, this will give you an edge. This is 38, 43, and 63. These guards, that 2 of that, it's another PG versus this, okay? So, yup. And last but not least, we play Rancor Chain, Husk, and yeah, this tiny proxy, yeah. We play Husk and Rancor, okay? With this list, we focus on a coutir coming as fast as we can because we won't start to green the overcoming, so it makes no sense not running that. Also, I think that fishing, it's a bit mediocre going second. And also, like, I don't care about milling an RPD. I'm not running 6, I'm just running 4. Yeah, I can maybe get a Lana, but I don't think there is as much interesting targets to mill into my drop zone, and I don't care about randomly getting one of those because I have the tutors anyway. So I think starting fast, draw fast, having good defensive options in your hand, being able to use Husk fast, this card can beat Grade 2 gaming decks. Fishing cannot, okay? So for me it's like very clear that I have to run this because I want my deck to be able to play for aggro if I want to. Okay, so that's all for today. I think the ratios can be seen and understood. Also, yeah, I forgot about the masks. The thing is that you can play the deck with just 8 orders for the whole game. I don't have anything better to rank here, and I don't really think that neither the third brave shooter, neither the third card, neither one random through the list, I cannot find any better card to run, so I think this is fine. It can be played, it won't make you lose at all, but I think it can make you win. It's also Soul Charge 1 going second, so you can be greedier on the resources going second, and you just need to prepare a Nadir to ride turn 4, and as long as you do, with Miasma a setup for turn 4 to get the power, like you can use overpowering twice, then your boosters are 20 plus, maybe you have 10 in drop zone, this is another 10, but if not, this is 28, plus 15 is 33, plus this is 8k, I'm missing power, 8, 28, 33, 43, 48, okay? Yeah, and you have still enough power. You can also use that to get the booster behind him, in order to boost Nadir for 28, which is a very decent number, and I don't know, I don't have literally any reason not to run him, but I think it can be a bit bait, okay? So you don't have to tunnel vision into it. Sometimes you go second and it's not the game for masks to happen. Sometimes you can use it later on the game when you are running out of persona and you have already divine skilled that game. So yeah, this is basically it. If you have any question, I will be obliged to answer them on the commentary section, and yeah, just to join our Discord. We do a lot of games, we play, we talk about Zorga day and night, and so yeah, hope you enjoyed, and see you soon.